Okay, we're going to start with 5.8. I'm hoping this one's going to be a little bit shorter. So we're going to start with solving for the variable when there's fractions involved. We did a little bit of this on Tuesday, but we left the fractions in them and just worked with them, and we were just doing some addition and subtraction to move the fraction from one side to the other and get the variable isolated. This time we're going to get rid of the fractions before we start working with the equation. So to do that, basically all you're going to do is multiply the entire equation. So you have to multiply every term by the least common multiple, or the common denominator, basically. So here is our first problem. I think showing you will probably help you see it a little better. So the first problem, I've got 5/8 y minus 3 equals 1/2. So if I multiply all of these, my marker doesn't work very good. If I multiply all of these terms, so this is a term, remember the terms are separated by the plus or minus and the equal sign. So I've got one here, and one there. So I've got to multiply all of those by the basically the least common denominator, or the lowest common denominator. So 8 and 2 are our denominators. So 8 would be the lowest, or the least common multiple, or the common denominator if we were trying to get a common denominator. So if we multiply all of those terms by 8, remember when you multiply fractions, you're just going to be multiplying straight across. So I'm going to put it 8 over 1 so I can just multiply the numerators and the denominators. So I multiplied this by 8. So I'm just going to write it in like this. Oh, you can't see that. I'm going to get rid of my parentheses. So 8 over 1. So I'm multiplying that term by 8. I'm multiplying this term by 8. And I'm going to multiply this term by 8. Notice with next to the 3, I didn't put it over 1 just because it's a whole 3, so I can just do, I don't need to make it into a fraction form. I made these into fraction form because they were multiplying by fractions. So 8 times 5 is 40 over 8. If you wanted to, you could make these into fractions if that confuses you. And then you have your y minus, we still have that, 3 times 8 is 24 equals, and then 8 over 2. Okay, and now if you picked the right number when you divide the fractions, you should get a whole number. So that's the kind of fun thing about doing this approach, is you get rid of the fractions. We're trying to eliminate the fractions, so we're just solving an equation like you've done a lot. So 40 divided by 8, we get 5. We have our y minus 24 equals 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, now this is a problem that we've solved problems like this over and over again. So now how do I get y all by itself? I need to add 24 to both sides. So I'm left with, I'm going to make sure you can see this, 5y on this side. Those cancel each other out. They're all gone. You earn the whole 24, you earn 24, so it just cancels out. Positive 4 and a positive 24. So both are positive, so they're going to add together to make 28. And then I'm going to divide. I messed up somewhere. Divide by 5. Or maybe I didn't mess up. Oh, just kidding. I didn't mess up. Sorry. We just get a fraction number. My bad. So you have y equals 28 over 5. I'm used to getting whole numbers, so I figured you were going to get a whole number, but we didn't. Okay, I think you can see that. Okay, if you can, reduce that. You don't have to put it in mixed number form. If you look in the back of your book, it will be in mixed number form. Just make sure you understand how to convert from one to the other, and you should be okay. Okay, let's try another one. Try to do one that's pretty different, because you can just rewind this if you need to see how we went through that problem. Okay, let's do negatives this time. We'll do a negative 1/7 equals negative 2 minus 3/5 k. Okay, again, I want to get rid of the fractions, and so to do that, I've got to get a common denominator and multiply all of them out. So you're not trying to make the denominators the same and match. What you're trying to do is multiply upstairs, so they'll basically cancel that 7 downstairs. So what would 7 go into that 5 will go into? 35. So you multiply every term by 35. Let me get another color out. Hopefully one that works better. So if I multiply this by 35 over 1, and I'm going to multiply the 2 by 35, and I'm going to multiply the 3 over 5 by 35 over 1. Okay, so you work that out. This was a negative 1. So when we multiply that, we get negative 35 over, 7, crazy sign, equals negative 2 times 35 is 70. Okay, then we have minus 35 times 3 is going to be 105 over 5. 1 times 5. Remember, we're multiplying straight across right there. And then k. So again, this is multiplying here. Okay? Zoom back a little for you. Okay, so if we divide this out, negative 35 divided by 7 leaves us with, I'm going to switch colors again, negative 5 equals negative 70 minus 105 divided by 5 is 21k. So we want to get this k by itself, so you've got to get rid of this other term over to this other side. Remember, your equal sign is like your brick wall. It separates the two sides. So this k term doesn't want any numbers by it. We got to get it over there away from it. So to do that, you've got to get rid of this negative 70. To counteract that, you're going to add 70. So if I do it to one side, I do it to the other. Those are gone, so I'm left with negative 21k on this side equals, and then a positive 70 and a negative 5 together makes 65. Okay, now you're going to have to divide to get this negative 21 off, because the only way to undo multiply is the inverse operation, which is division. So I do negative 21 over negative 21, and those cancel. So I've got to do that over on the other side, divide by negative 21. So I'm left with, sorry, this is too dark, I can't see. Sorry. I had to adjust my light so I could see what you could see. Okay, yeah, so you're left with 65 divided by 21. So 65 over negative 21 equals, and the only thing left over here is k. So there's your final answer. Unless it reduces. The only thing that will go into 21 is 3 and 7 and 21. I know 21 and 3 won't go into 65. And 7 will also not go into 65. 7 times 9 is 63. So, okay, so there's that. Let's do another one. This one's going to be a little different, very similar, but a little different. I'm going to throw another term in the equation, so there's a variable term on each side. So let's do 2/3 minus 4/5 A equals 1/5 plus A. Okay, again, before you do anything, we're going to get rid of those fractions so we don't have to worry about them. So we've got to figure out, look at your denominators, only look at the denominators, don't look at anything else. What will 5 and 3 both go into evenly? And then we're going to work with that. Okay. So 15 would be the best bet. Sorry, I'm moving all over. I'm trying to get another marker that works better. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 15 by this term, this term, this term, and this term. You have to multiply every term. So times by 15 over 1. Eventually you'll get to the point where you won't even write these. You'll just rewrite the problem by multiplying. You'll just kind of do the multiplying in your head. So we just do 15 times 2 is 30 over 3. And some people will even be able to just divide it all out at the same time. If you can, you might even get to the point where you can see the 5s will cancel. Not this 5, but like you can pull 5 out of the 15. So this would be 3 times 4, so you'd get 12a. But if you're not there, that's okay. We won't get 12 right now because you're going to have to reduce eventually. So we're going to have 60 over 5a equals 15 over 5 plus, this is a times 15, so that is 15a, 15 times a. Okay, now let's do our dividing. So 30 divided by 3 is 10, minus 60 divided by 5 is 12, a equals 15 divided by 5 is 3, plus my 15a. Okay, so now this is easy equation to solve. Remember, you've got to get all the a's on one side and all the numbers on the other side. It doesn't matter which way you go, you just have to make sure you know which way you're going. So I'm going to add my 12a to both sides. Again, there are different options. You could have minus 3 from both sides. You could have minus 10 from both sides. You could have minus 15a from both sides. And if you do everything correctly, you'll end up getting the same answer anyway, so it wouldn't matter either way. This is just what I chose to do. So those are completely gone. negative 12a, if you add 12a, they cancel out completely. So I don't write anything except the 10 that was left that wasn't touched. So I get 10 equals 3, 15a plus 12a makes 27a. Okay, and I'm going to minus 3 to get it over with the 10. And so I have 7. Let's see if you can see down there. I'm left with 7 equals 27a. And now I can divide the 27 off of the a because I'm down to one term on each side, basically. So if I divide 27, so I'm going to go over here. So this is where I was. Or this is what I had. I had 7 equals 27a. Then I'll divide both sides by 27 to get my a all by itself. So a is left, and 7 divided by 27 is what a equals. Again, reduce this if it does reduce. If it doesn't, then you can leave it. Okay? So that is that whole problem. And we'll do one more, and we'll be done with this part, and then we'll do a few story problems. Okay, so this next one we're going to do, we're going to have some parentheses, which again just means that we've got multiplication, we've got to distribute. So we'll do 1/4 times m plus 2 equals 3/4 m minus 2/3. Okay, this is where it's kind of tricky when you do the multiply everything by the least common denominator so you can get rid of the fractions. You've got to do that when you only have terms, unless you're to a point where you understand what's going on here. We could do it if we multiply just this 1/4 and then this term and this term, because that fourth is going to get distributed through. So like I said, just go ahead and multiply it through until you just have a strand of terms that are just separated by your plus and minuses. So we distribute the 1/4 through, and we end up with, it's dead already, 1/4 times m, then 1/4 times 2, so we have 1/4 times 2 over 1, which is 2 over 4, which is 1/2. And you can reduce, or you don't have to. Where we're going to be multiplying, it would be fine to just leave it. And then we have 3/4 m on the other side. There's no distributing on the other side, so I'm just going to write it. Okay, so now do you see the difference? This one is just a list of terms. So I've got a term, a plus, a term, an equal sign, a term, a minus, and another term. Up here I had a term kind of distributing into two terms, or this is more of a number on the outside that's multiplying into each term though. So that's why it gets a little complicated. Okay, but now we're to a point where we can look at our denominators, find one that all of those would go into evenly. So 4, 2, and there's another 4, and 3. So what would 4, 2, and 3 all go into? So I'm going to use 12. So I've got to multiply everything by 12. So timesing this one by 12, this one by 12, this one by 12, this one by 12. Notice I'm not multiplying this m by 12 and the 3/4 by 12, because that is one term. The terms are only separated by plus, minuses, and equal signs. Okay, so I'm just putting it next to the 1/4 because we're going to do it with the numbers, and the m just kind of gets attached. So 12 times 1 is going to be 12 over 4 is 3m, plus, I'm going to kind of skip steps on this, so if you get lost, go slow and you can write them down. 12 over 2 is 6, and 12 times 3 is 36, divided by 4, sorry I was tipped. 12 times 3 is 36, divided by 4 is 9m, minus 12 times 2 is 24, divided by 3 is 8. Okay, and now we're basically to where we were on the other problem. You've got to get all the m terms on one side and the number terms on another side. I'm going to subtract 3m, is what I choose to do. I got to get a different marker again. This one works. So I'm going to subtract 3m from both sides. So those are gone. So I'm left with 6 equals 6m minus 8. And I'm going to add 8 to both sides so I can get that 8 over with its number friend. Those are gone, so I'm left with 6m on this side equals 6 plus 8 is 14. And now to undo this 6 from the m, I divide by the 6. So I have my m by itself, which is what I've been trying to get to. So m is left, my equal sign, and I have 14 divided by 6, which reduces. We finally have one that reduces. So I'm going to come over here and do that to the side. So I've got 14 over 6 equals m. So half of that, I know 2 will go into both of those. So that would be 7/3. And that is totally reduced because 3 won't go into 7. So you can leave it just like that. Or if you want, you can write it as a mixed number. Okay, so there's that whole problem. Okay, now let's talk about some of the story problems. We'll do a few that are similar to the ones you'll have in your homework, and then hopefully you'll be able to do your homework ones pretty easily since you'll have these on video. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is a triangle problem. Just a minute, I gotta get my whiteboard erased. Okay, unfortunately they don't have a good, oh shoot, my marker's dead already. Okay, so we'll do and I don't have one that has a great picture, so I'm going to have to just draw it. Hopefully you can see it pretty good. So we're going to be dealing with the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 the base times the height. So again, they'll give you some of the pieces and leave you without probably one piece. So they've got to give you, trying to find a good spot here. They'll give you the area, the base, or the height, but one of those pieces will be missing. In the problem you're going to be doing, it's going to be the base, you won't know. So we'll do a problem similar to that. So I'm just going to let B be our base, since we don't know that one. So that's a B, not a 6. And then I'm going to give just another fraction to our height. We'll do 2 1/4. Let's see. Okay, you can see it in the area. So in the story problem, it'll say find the length B in the triangle if the height is 2 1/4. We'll say it's feet. And the area is, so we'll say the area is 30 3/4 square feet. I'm going to do 1/4. Sorry. I'm going to change that. Okay. So they tell us what the area is. So you just plug it in. 30 1/4 equals 1/2. We've got to plug in the base, which is B. So we're timesing by B, and we're timesing by the height, which is 2 1/4. Okay, so first of all, change your improper fractions, or your mixed fractions, to improper fractions. So we get 120 plus 1, so 121/4 equals, I'm going to leave that, 12, I'm going to put my B over 1. And this is 9/4. Okay, then we multiply straight across over here. So we'll have 121/4 equals, I'm going to do 9B just because I like to have the number in front. So 9B, because 1 times B is B times 9. 9B, 2 times 1 is 2, times 4 is 8. Okay. Now back when we did multiplication, we dealt with how to get this B by itself when you have a fraction. So hopefully you remember. Let me get a different color. Hopefully it works. So this might spark your memory. You just take that fraction and flip it. So you times both sides by the reciprocal. Because essentially these will cancel, leaving you with that B all by itself, which is what you needed. So we have B equals, and you're going to multiply here. So I'll get 36 on the bottom, and up top I'm going to have, I'll do it out to the side, 121 times 8. So 1 times 8 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, carry a 1, 8 plus 1 is 9. So I get 968. Okay, this reduces. I'm not going to take the time to divide it out. Remember, on story problems you have to write with mixed number form. Can't leave it as improper. So you can divide it out and then reduce the fraction portion of it, which is probably what I would do. Or you can reduce it now and then divide it out. That wouldn't be too hard either, to at least divide it by 2 and then divide. Either way, but I'm not going to go over that part to save us some time on the video, and that's stuff that we've gone over quite a bit in class, so hopefully you know how to divide. But as you can see, we just found what B was, and B represents the base measurement. So we found the base. So there's a triangle story problem. Then I'm going to give you a story problem that kind of talks about a real life situation. It's talking about somebody raising money. But I'm going to give you one that's pretty similar as far as setup goes. So the story problem says, Rosa discovers that her salary is 5/6 of Rick's salary, yet they have the same job. The difference in their salaries is $4,700. What are each of their salaries? So I'm going to show that to you. Maybe if I can figure out how to do that. I can flip the camera, but I don't know how. Just a minute. Maybe I can. Okay, so let me see if I can. Okay, almost there. Okay. So pause it if you want to read that. Okay. So it says that the difference of their salaries is $4,700. So difference means subtraction. So you've got Rosa and Rick. So I wish they would have done different names, but I will do Rosa. I'm going to do an O. Well, I won't do an O because it will look like a 0. How about we do A for Rosa and K for Rick. So Rosa's salary minus Rick's salary is $4,700, or Rick's salary minus Rosa's salary is $4,700. We've got to figure out which one, because remember with subtraction, order matters. So it says Rosa discovers that her salary is 5/6 of Rick's. So hers would be less than Rick's. So we want to take hers, Rosa's, away from Rick's. And then we'll have the difference. So we want the second equation. Okay? So this is where we're at. Well, we just said that Rosa's salary is 5/6 of Rick's. So 5/6 of K. So instead of A, I'm going to write 5/6 K. Because 5/6 times K will give us 5/6 of that amount. So now you just have K minus 5/6 K equals 4,700. So again, remember, if you need to, you can write the 1 coefficient for a variable. So essentially I'm doing 1 minus 5/6. Just think of this like an x. If I had 2x minus 1x, you would say I'd have 1x. If I had 8x squared minus 2x squared, I would have 6x squared. Same thing here. I have 1k. I'm taking away 5/6k. So how much do I have left? If you can visualize fractions pretty easily, then you probably already know that it's going to be 1/6. If you can't, then I would do a side problem. So I've got 1 minus 5/6, essentially. And then this is just like our 5.6. I'm going to write it over here so I can actually work it straight instead of on an angle. So this is basically over 1. So we need to get a common denominator because I can't subtract fractions without a common denominator. So I'm going to use 6. So this one's going to stay 5/6. And this one's going to end up being 6/6. I multiply this by 6 and that by 6. So I keep my denominator of 6, and 6 minus 5 is 1. So here I end up getting 1/6 K equals 4,700. And now to get K by itself, remember the trick. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal of whatever that coefficient is. So those all cancel out. I'm left with my k equals, I've got to do 4,700 times 6. So remember I taught you a little trick. So 4,700 times 6. You can leave those zeros on, or you can just do 47 times 6 and then remember to put the 2 zeros on your answer. So 42, 24 plus 4 is 28, and then we add our zeros. Hopefully I'm doing my math right. I don't have you guys here to catch me when I mess up. So anyway, so that's the problem you'll be doing. Basically, you'll have something set up like this, where you have two people's information of some sort, and you're just going to leave one as the variable, and then the other one will be a fraction of the variable, and it will give you a total. I think the problem you're doing is not subtraction, so you're not going to have to worry about that. I think it's addition, so that'll help you. Okay, we're going to do one more problem, and then we'll be done. Okay, this one involves a little bit of geometry. It teaches you some geometry. So here's a picture of what we're going to be talking about. Let's see. You see those boards? I'm going to draw one, but I just wanted you to see theirs because it looks better than mine, I'm sure. So it says these two boards come together as shown. The smaller angle measure, so we're talking an angle measurement is from here to here. And when we measure angles, or it could be from here to here, or we could be talking about from here to here. When we measure angles, we do that in terms of degrees, typically, and when we have a straight line, the total degrees all the way across that, a straight line is 180 degrees. You hear people say that you did a 180. That's because if you were going this way, a 180 means you would be going the opposite way. If you did a 360, that's going all the way around and you'd come back to where you were. Okay, so in this problem, we need to know that bit, that all the way across is 180 degrees. So it says the smaller angle measurement, so it's talking about this little angle right here. I'm going to erase my arch. The smaller angle measurement is 1/3 the measurement of the larger angle. So we have the larger angle and the smaller angle, but they said the smaller is 1/3 of the large. Okay, so I'm going to erase this part and just say this is 1/3 of the L. Well, remember I told you all of these together, so both of these angles together has to equal 180 degrees. So we would set that up as L plus 1/3 L equals 180 degrees. Okay, if you need to write 1 there. So I've got 1 plus 1/3, which is 1 1/3 L's equals 180 degrees. If you want, you could set this up as 3/3. So you have 4/3 L, or at this point, we'd probably want to switch. 1 times 3 plus 1 is 4/3. To improper, so we can get L by itself. So you're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So those are gone, so I'm left with L equals, I can do my cross cancel if you're good with that. If not, just do it out to the side, 180 times 3. Again, I could cross the 0 off, but I'm just going to work with it this time. 3 times 8 is 24, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So I get 540 over 4. And then you can divide that out. Definitely reduce it. Again, I'm not going to go that route or go that far with you because I think you can handle it. Okay, time for homework. And we're done with chapter 5. So we'll start on Monday. We'll have class as normal. And we will start chapter 6 with decimals. So that is it for fractions. 5.8. You're going to be doing 3 through 18 multiples of 3. And you're doing a few story problems. You're doing 29, 35, and 41. I meant to do a different example for 41, so I've kind of walked through 41 with you, so it should be a lot easier for you to do it, hopefully. Okay, good luck with the homework, and I hope all goes well.